Taliban's treatment of women and girls in Afghanistan could amount to a crime against humanity. That's according to a UN report presented at the Human Rights Council in Geneva. Since the Taliban seized power again in August of 2021, they have drastically curtailed women's freedoms and rights, including their ability to attend high school and university. The UN report calls this an intentional and calculated policy to erase women from public life. Well, today, only men in Afghanistan returned to university after the winter break. The country's Taliban rulers barred women from higher education last December, accusing students of violating a strict dress code.
Back to class after the winter break. And a chance to catch up with friends after time away. But the only sign of women at this private university in Kabul is on the walls, and the posters encouraging female students to wear a hijab. A reminder of life here before the Taliban banned women from higher education late last year.
We didn't have any issue with our sisters having segregated classes from us. Our point was that even if they had to study alone, we were happy about it. Last year, we were segregated and they were studying. We were happy about it. There was no issue with it.
The ruling in December was met with protests amid widespread global outrage, with many of those taking to the streets young women now being denied access to higher education.
My personal view is that if girls are not educated, half of the society will be paralyzed. So half of the society needs to come out of this paralysis. The more progress you have in a society, the better. Girls are also human. Whatever they love or like, whatever they want to become in the future, they must continue, and they must study in schools or at university.
The Taliban says the decision to bar women from university classrooms was made because dress codes and gender-based religious restrictions were being ignored. The country is now among the most restrictive in the world for women's education, with a similar ban still in place for girls at secondary school. The United Nations says the directives could create a lost generation, claiming everyone has the right to an education.
Let's bring in Shabnam Nazimi. She's a British Afghan who works as a policy advisor to the British government, for example, on the resettlement of Afghan refugees. Ms. Nazimi, welcome to DW. Now, the UN says the Taliban's treatment of women and girls in Afghanistan may amount to gender persecution, a crime against humanity. Could this carry any consequences for the Taliban? Do they even care?
Look, the urgency of the situation of women in Afghanistan cannot be overstated. 32 days since the Taliban banned girls from school, and now 78 days since they banned women from university. And as universities begin to reopen following the winter break, we have now seen that girls are also continue to be banned from continuing their education in Afghanistan. This can amount to a crime against humanity. Women make up 50% of the population inside the country, but what we need now is an international condemnation. Their excuse that women were not adhering to dress codes cannot be justifiable anymore. Women were wearing burqas, veils, and following all codes and rules set out by the Taliban, and yet they are still being banned from accessing their education. What we are seeing now is potentially leading to a permanent ban from going either to school to university, and we cannot allow this to continue for more years to come. This needs to end, and we need an international solidarity, a solution, and the Taliban need to be held accountable.
What can the international community do to make sure that the Taliban are held accountable?
Well, look, first of all, we've got, sanctioning the Taliban is one of the routes that has been used previously. The International Crimes Prosecution, ICC, could potentially investigate the Taliban for their treatment of women. And we are seeing women out on the street. Even today, there were a number of women sitting outside Kabul University boycotting the Taliban's rule on banning women from going to university. Now, what we need to do is amplify those women on the ground. They do exist. They want to stand up for their rights, but we need to support them either financially or through other means to ensure that they are supported, secured, to continue resisting for social change inside the country. Now, I understand the Western interest in Afghanistan has been lost in so many ways. There is a growing fatigue over what we can do for the country. But this means it's the time now to work with those inside the country, and our Muslim majority countries neighboring Afghanistan can also step up and play their part.
The UN chief, Antonio Guterres, says that women and girls in Afghanistan have effectively been erased from public life. Now, things as they stand, how do you see the future for girls and women in the country?
It is, the outlook is incredibly dire. I think just today, the last few days, there's been an announcement that women who secured divorces prior to the Taliban takeover can be considered illegal, and any future divorces that women may want to take has also been banned. The situation continues to grow and appear grim, and the consequences of depriving women from having an education, from having any public life, will be long-lasting. Even if the Taliban were to be ousted tomorrow, the harm caused by confining girls to their homes, subjecting them to abuse and violence, and denying them of their fundamental human rights could be catastrophic, not just for the women of the country, but for the entire nation and for generations to come.
Shabnam Nazimi, policy advisor to the British government, thank you so much.
Thank you.